Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I would like to show you my Druid deck. I call it Forest. It has trees. Lots and lots of trees. So, this is kind of strange for me. I don't tend to play Druid all that often. Don't know why. I just never seem to. Wow, all that much either. Kind of went through a phase when I first started, and then that's been pretty much it so far.
Lunara versus Jaina.
You asked for it. The forest fights back.
Of course, when you get a shiny new hero portrait, you have to make a new deck, so that's what I did. That's when I came up with this. So. Okay. This isn't a great start. This deck does have a lot of early game cards. We did get our Spellstone, so that's good. That's gonna die. Absolutely. Seen that get out of control. I hate to use this for its 3-2. I prefer to use it for the buff. And he won the joust. Great. Okay. Well, I could do one of two things. I could get a minion on the board, or I could just use this now and kill this.
What if...
Indeed. And getting a minion on the board is probably better. I have out-armored some warriors with this deck. With all the cards that give me armor. It's kind of neat.
I wonder.
I'm sure at some point everyone has played at least one game where you knew you were playing against a warrior, you knew you could beat him, but he kept armoring up somehow, and it just got out of control. Okay, so this was the card that kind of started my gave me the idea for this deck. Witcherwood Apple and Force of Nature. Both grant you trees. Like I said, this deck has trees, lots and lots of trees. And Druid at this current meta has a lot of buff cards, so I didn't necessarily realize that until I was putting this deck together. Okay. So I can actually play both of these and then kill this. We still got one more turn, 2 more turns before a flame strikes, so. That's less than great. Have a notion to bite. No, that's not good. Yeah. I think we bite here.
This'll be good.
as much damage in as I can. If we lose these, that's fine. We've got more. So, again, this is not great. This is actually rare that I've ended up this low on cards. I also have Ultimate Infestation in this deck, and I'm always worried that I'm going to overdraw when I use it. So that was a bit of a strange decision. Don't really need healing. What's the most efficient way to do this? Well, something has to. I either have to take damage or one of these has to die, I think, yes.
This'll be good.
Okay.
How long can this go on? How long can this go on?
We're going to be getting into some higher stuff, so... Ysera is not the only legendary I have. There we go. I was hoping I got this.
I must safeguard the land.
First things first, that has to be silenced. So, we are in flame strike range now. So,
This'll be good.
Job's done.
if he wants to waste a flame strike on two things, that's fine. I have a notion to play my taunt. He has card draw now. That's unfortunate. Because flame strike won't kill this. It kills everything else. What are you going to do? Now you're going to run that in there. You should have ran that in there before now. Okay. Or I could play Ysera. I have not seen a polymorph or anything though, so I'd rather hold on to her, I think. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to play this, I'm going to do this. I'll take damage from that. Yes. I think that was the most efficient way to do this. I was going to earth and scale this, but I thought, well, I would have had one mana left over. Why when I could, yeah.
Reality woven.
Okay, there's the polymorph, so now probably Ysera next turn.
Need a key?
I would think the chances of having two polymorphs are low. If she's even running polymorphs, so. I can't see that being a mirror image. Oh no, it is. How stupid is that?
This'll be good.
With what I've been playing, why would you play a mirror image? That was kind of a poor play, personally, but okay. I'm kind of wondering if I can fatigue her. She only has 10 cards to my 17. She's only got 5 cards in hand, so... yeah. I'm gonna do this for the taunts. It's not looking good, folks. It's not looking good. And that's GG. Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay. Let me show you what's in here. Didn't get to really see the flood the board and then buff them, which is where this deck tends to really hit its stride. So as I said, where are they? Richard Wood Apples is what gave me the idea for this. Add 3 2/2 trees to your hand, so not terrible. Early game, this works really well because they just keep throwing removal at it, and then later on when you get into some of the bigger stuff, they really have no way to handle it. The other card was Force of Nature, admittedly not as good since it was nerfed. Still not terrible though. Summoning 3 2/2s for 5, that's 6 damage, 6 health, 6 damage. Not terrible. Like I said, at the moment there's quite a few buff cards. Bark Skin, that I know of, this is the first time I've used this in a deck, and I wasn't completely sure of it, and I love it. Yeah, it works well with Spellstone, obviously, because it's you have 3 health, 3 armor. You get a 2/2 on the board. Suddenly it's a 2/5. It trades. Yeah, it's a good little card for what it does. Earthen Scales. I've used this before. Again, works well with Spellstone. Turns a 2/2 into a 3/3. Not a bad card. These two cards help me along with Bite. Yeah, that's why I said I've out-armored some warriors depending on the games. Jasper Spellstone. I put this in here mainly because of other Spellstone cards I've used. This, I have to say, is probably my least favorite of them because it is so hard to level up. You think, well, 3 armor to upgrade is fairly... Yeah, but if you don't get these, or if you get these and you use them before this is in your hand, which has happened, quite a few times, this just sits in your hand for 2. And I think a 2 damage spell for 1 mana is just not very good. I don't know that I've ever really... I think I usually get this to 4, deal 4 damage and call it good. I don't know. I think I've gotten it to 4 far more often than I've gotten it to 6. Occasionally on long games, this will just set in my hand and just out of just out of me using other cards, it gets leveled up. But usually in those games you don't really need it. It's just kind of a convenience. Was kind of was kind of disappointed because the hunter has a really good one. The warrior has a really good one. In my experience, this and priest, I think, are the two worst ones to try to use because they're so difficult to level up. Yeah. So if I had to take something out, it would probably be this. Yeah. Power of the Wild, just for the buff. I try never to use this for a 3-2. It does happen on rare occasions, but this is in here for the buff because it buffs anything. So anything in here can benefit from it. So Wrath, because of course. Druid of the Scythe. This I threw in here just to play with it. I started out using it mostly for the rush. 4-2 rush is not terrible. 4-2 taunt seems like it's the worst of the two. I'm still on the fence with this. I can't seem to... I go back and forth on, if it's really worth it or not, what makes this viable. A lot of the choose cards have... they have a default that people use. People usually use, the 3 damage. 1 damage draw card's not terrible, but for 2 cost, usually most people use the 3 damage. Most people take the... Well, I guess this one, people probably use both equally. I was thinking more like, Ancient of War. Most people use the taunt. Most people don't take the 5 health. Most people take the health. I don't know that people really use this for card draw. Yeah. Cenarius, most people take the taunts. They don't take the buffs. Yeah. They tend to, I guess, to be more accurate, there's usually a, of the 2 that you get to choose from, there's usually, one of them's usually a even at the very least a slightly better, slightly more viable option than the 2. Getting this on the board as a 2/4 with taunt and buffing it, it makes it a 3/5 isn't terrible. It usually stays on the board. It dies so quick as a taunt though. That's what I'm disappointed about. For 4 health, you would think it would. You would hope it would stay on the board for a turn or 2, and it just it tends to die quicker, more often than not. Bite just for removal, just to keep things moving along for survival until I can get into some of this bigger stuff. Keeper of the Grove. I like this card. I usually run this when I do make a Druid deck for the Silence. Usually I use the 2 damage more often than not. Going back to this whole thing again. But occasionally, as you... Did I use this game? I don't think I did. No. Yes, I did. Silence is nice. There's not... Silence is one of those things that kind of goes away and then comes back again and then goes away and comes back again. So you're never sure. It's the one thing you can never be sure if somebody's going to have it or not. So I like this. it was nerfed. The stats aren't as great as they were. I think it was a 2-4, I want to say, at one point. But a 2-2 with the effect that it gives, I think, is fine. Swipe, because of course. Force of Nature, Nourish, just one, just for card draw. No real point in ramping with this deck. So just for card draw, just when your hand, just for that odd kind of mid-game, that transition from early game to mid-game where you need, a little bit of card draw. So, this is probably the card I use the least in this deck. Then of course if you draw it by the end of your, the end of the game, there's not really a lot in here, so it's no real point in using it, in drawing more cards. Rotten Apple. Bum? Bam? Like I said, did not realize this was a tree to begin with. I had a wild growth in here originally, just one, and just one Savage Roar, and I took them out because I never used a Savage Roar, and as I said, ramping really doesn't benefit in this deck. I mean, you have low cost things to play, so you almost always have something to play, and you're not going to ramp up enough to play any of this bigger stuff, much sooner. So, 4/5 restores 4 health. It's not bad. There's not a lot of healing in this deck. There's a lot of armor. There is, you have 6, 8, so 14, 15 right there. This is usually 3, maybe more, so another 6. So with this, it's not bad. Just rounds out the deck nicely. Splinter Graft, I guess it would be. I just got this one day after I had made the deck and wanted to throw it in. I took out... What did I take out for this? I swapped something up for this. Now I don't remember what it was. I like it. It works really well. Anything you copy returns to your hand as a 5/5. Or a 10/10, excuse me. Anything you choose to copy returns to your hand as a 10/10. 4/10. That means, your little 2/2s. That could mean Ysera, Alexstrasza, you name it. So this is an 8/8 for 8 in and of itself is not terrible. So this is very situational. But towards the later game, when you're trying to just really keep up the momentum to get lethal, this is helpful. It looks a bit odd when you first look at it. In practice, though, it's one of those cards that works really well. Alexstrasza, as I said, this has won me a couple games. You throw this down, instantly half their life is gone, then you're getting into bigger stuff. This in combination with like Ultimate Infestation or something, if you can get 8 damage if they don't kill it the next turn, and it's kind of a gamble whether they can or not. Some games it stays on the board, some games it dies right away. It just depends on the game and your opponent. Cenarius, I put this in here because of the 2/2 buff. I've rarely ever used a 2/2 buff. I've usually used the taunt. It's difficult difficult to get, you know, smaller things out and then get something bigger out to buff it. I have done it a few times. Usually when I'm trying to wait for like a Ysera or, you know, this or something else, I'll put this down just to kind of delay to move the game along. 2-2, you know, a taunt with 2-2 is not going to stay on the board very long usually. So this could be, this and Spellstone would be the two things maybe I could, you know, if you wanted to reconsider, you know, putting something else in here, if you had another legendary you prefer, you could probably remove this without too much, you know, without ruining the deck. Ysera, because of course you have to have, if you're going to have a Druid deck, you have to have Ysera. And this works really well since there's smaller stuff at the beginning. You know, if all this seems to die, you know, she can, you know, give you some minions, some Emerald Drakes, what have you. Yeah. If nothing else, she takes, she baits out removal for other things, so it's not bad. It's an interesting little Ysera. Is kind of her own, kind of has her own synergy. So there's very few decks this isn't good to have in it. This or Ragnaros. And Ragnaros you can't use in Standard anymore, so yeah. Ultimate Infestation. This was a card I put in here just to play with it. I was on the fence. I had seen it used. I like the 5 damage. The card draw, I'm always, like I said, I'm always second guessing myself. I'm always self-conscious that I'm going to overdraw. Summon a 5/5 ghoul, you know, but by this point, you know, if they're taking down Yseras and Alexstraszas and things like that, a 5/5 ghoul is not going to present much of a trouble. It dies more often than not. But the 5 damage is nice. That has won me the game on a couple of occasions. So yeah, it's not terrible. I think you could lose the 5/5 ghoul and just stick with the 5 damage in the card draw. And I think it would be, you know, well valued in and of itself. Just for the usefulness of it, this can remove minions. Like I said, you know, I hope you get lethal. It's so versatile, and then you're drawing 5 cards on top of that. So, if there's something you are looking for, you know, by turn 10, chances are you're gonna be able to draw it or soon after with this. So, yeah, that's my forest deck. So we'll play one more game. Hopefully I can show you. I've had some really interesting games. I was hoping that would be the case for making the video. So goes the way of making videos, I suppose.
Lunara versus Jaina.
You asked for it. The forest fights
Okay.
back.
Actually, I'm going to keep one of these. Okay. Okay. And this is not an ideal hand, obviously. We got Witcherwood apples, so there's potential here. There is potential here. Come on. Would she go AFK? Couldn't decide. We did get the coins, so this is good.
I wonder.
Okay, so we coin out.
Time runs out on me.
So you can see, you coin that out. Turn 2, you have, you can start to play on curve. If you have other little buff cards, well,
Time
keeps
runs out on me.
AFKing. This might get interesting.
Time runs out on me.
So I'm thinking. Play this, and if I had one more mana or I wanted to be greedy, I'd wait and play this, but yeah.
Time runs out on me.
So probably yeah, probably.
Time runs out on me.
Surprisingly, or disappointingly, this isn't as much fun as you'd think it would be. Okay, well, just to give you the general idea, so do that.
The rage. It claims me.
So you can see you can build up a pretty decent board if you can keep things on the board. There's a 3-6, a 4-4, 3-3. Yeah, they all started as 2-2s. Oh, that's disappointing. Okay, we're gonna play one more game. Hopefully find a conscious opponent.
Lunara
Okay.
versus Roll.
For Doomhammer.
The forest fights back.
Send that back. I'll keep those two. I like to get the spellstone in my hand as early as possible, of course. Okay. I think one of the interesting things with this is with the Witcher Wood apples. You want as best of opening hand as you can get, of course. However, if you draw that on your first turn or so, you're going to be spending the next two turns
That didn't go as
playing playing 2/2s, so it's not terrible. And I have half a notion to... Okay. I know what to do. I know what to do, folks.
the rage. It claims you.
Of course it did. Do I play another one? Actually, I think I'll play this as a taunt. As tempting as it would be to have 2 4/2s on the board, they could die so easily, and then where would I be? Because I have no other minions. I have removal. I'm about to get... I got both of these, so I can level both of these up
What to do?
in one fell swoop here in a minute. Okay, what are you doing?
What to do?
Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about synergy.
This will be good.
Now that's synergy right there, folks. Okay, I'd rather not have spell power on the
I
board.
must safeguard the land.
You know, I'm getting things are balancing out. The last few games I've been playing the last couple days have been just ridiculous. I assume net decks or something similar to a net deck, so I'm getting wins now. I'm getting my losses back, so to
Feel
speak.
nature's wrath.
What do I want to do here?
Feel nature's wrath.
This will be good.
Oh god. Well, this could be an interesting game. Nice if I had something bigger to throw down. I really hope he just had that in his deck and it's not part of the net deck with the legendary. Been trying to figure out what this deck is, and
Mushroom power!
okay. Well, I'm going to do this. And then I am going to do this.
This'll be good.
Turtle power.
Okay. Well, haven't seen a hex come out yet. Let's card draw. Okay. So we'll swipe and kill that. I'd rather save this in case he does have something bigger. And then, yeah.
Working me to the bone.
Squire, attend me! You can't hide forever! Your soul is in my hands.
Fire, burn, and cauldron bubble!
Well,
Let's see.
okay, this is what I'm going to do. We're going to kill this off since we can. And then I'm going to play this.
Time goes short.
I think that's the most efficient way of doing what I wanted to do. So the next turn we will play this, hopefully. Get a 10-10 tree. And never seen that card before. Okay.
I will do shopping now!
I am the blade of the goddess.
Okay. He's not healing though, so we're fine. So I'm going to. Yes, I think I'm going to because I want to.
This'll be good.
Chop them down!
Okay. See, if you plan your turns out a little bit ahead of time, if I play Alex Straza next turn, that takes him down to 15. I have lethal, right?
And the blade of the gods.
Possibly.
I bring life.
Chop them down.
Oh, one short. You see how Alex Straza can win you games now. Just cuts half your health away. Oh, that's what I was afraid of.
I am the blade of the gods.
I think we've lost, folks. I think we've lost. This is so annoying. This needs to be nerfed.
You win.
Oh, it didn't trigger the well, there you go. Okay. Good way to end the video right there. Okay. Well, there you go, folks. There's Forest. Hope you enjoyed that, and thank you for watching.